WCBI News at 6 starts now.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Cash Matlock. Since coronavirus hit the Magnolia State, health officials have been taking testing to the public. And one of those drive-through testing sites was in Winston County today. Tyler Hull has more from Louisville.
With COVID-19 cases on the rise again, more people are lining up to get tested at mobile sites like this one at the Coliseum in Louisville. The Mississippi Department of Health is performing the test, while members of the National Guard kept things flowing smoothly. Captain Adam Clayton says they had so many people lining up that they decided to open things 20 minutes early. Clayton says the responsibility doesn't stop with a potential patient being tested.
It's important that if you're having symptoms or if you've been exposed to somebody with symptoms, particularly if they had a positive test, that you come and get tested to not only understand your own healthcare status, but also to make sure that you are not potentially exposing people to the virus that may be in a higher risk group.
Clayton also says that even if you are not showing symptoms, you should still get tested.
Even if you're asymptomatic, it's not a bad idea to get tested to make sure that you are not exposing someone else. You may be a carrier, you may just not be symptomatic of it.
Tyler Hull, WCBI News.
We apologize for the technical issues there. Organizers say over 100 people showed up to get tested as of this morning. Well, the Mississippi Department of Health reports 797 new cases of COVID-19 with 15 new deaths. There are 32 new cases reported among long-term care facilities. The total number of cases for Mississippi since March 11th is now more than 35,000, with more than 1,200 total deaths. More than 22,000 people are presumed to have recovered from the virus. The coronavirus hotline is the best way to get your questions about COVID-19 answered. You can call 877-978-6453 7 days a week from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. On Friday, Mississippi had its highest one-day total of hospitalizations. That follows along with the warnings we heard from the medical community Thursday that things are getting worse. Courtney Ann Jackson has the latest on what's behind some of the numbers.
Hospital capacity numbers for Mississippi aren't easy to find, at least not with complete data. The CDC has some numbers that show Mississippi is utilizing about 60% of its capacity, but a closer look reveals only about 40% of the hospitals are reporting numbers to that. But the Mississippi Hospital Association notes that bed counts don't tell the whole story.
It doesn't matter how many beds you have. Beds are great if you're a hotel. You want beds. In a hospital, you want to be able to staff those beds.
Even before COVID-19, there were warnings of both doctor and nurse shortages in the state.
So, what the concern is really being able to adequately staff those beds with the type of care providers that those patients will need. And for a COVID patient, what our hospitals across the country are seeing is those COVID patients tend to stay in the hospital longer than your average length of stay for other patients.
What I also learned is that a number of the licensed hospital beds also doesn't give a full picture. For example, the Mississippi Baptist Medical Center in Jackson, they have 638 licensed beds, but only 491 active beds. That's the physical bed capacity with their current layout. 336 of those beds are occupied. They have 76 critical care beds, 32 of which are neonatal ICU beds. 53 ICU beds are currently occupied, with 14 of those being in the neonatal ICU. UMMC doctors were among those sounding the alarm Thursday. We checked in to learn their numbers Friday. On the Jackson campus, they have 400 adult beds. They are full. Of 80 ICU beds, they're also full. Courtney Ann Jackson, WCBI News.
UMMC says it has also had to place some adults in the children's hospital because there was no room in the adult hospital. Well, if you stepped outside today, you probably noticed the warm and humid air. Temperatures are expected to continue to climb through this week with heat index values reaching dangerous levels. Meteorologist Trevor Burchett joins us live from outside the WCBI studios in Columbus with a look at how hot the temperatures will go and how you can stay safe. Trevor?
Yeah, Cash, it is hot out there. I've only been outside for about 10 minutes, and I'm sure you can tell that I've got a little extra moisture on my face from all the sweat. Outside right now, it is 92 degrees at the Air Force Base. with a heat index over 100 degrees. Now, this is something we're used to in Mississippi in the summertime with these heat index values reaching atrocious amounts. But a lot of times you hear people say, check the back seat for your kids and your pets. So that got me thinking, exactly how much hotter is your back seat than what the actual temperature is? So I told you 92 degrees is the official report right now. I've had a thermometer in that news car right back there for about the last 30 minutes. In 30 minutes, that car hit nearly 130 degrees in the back seat. That can be lethal heat, folks. So we are not playing around when we tell you, please check the back seat. Check for your children, check for your pets. Do not leave them in the back seat of your car under any circumstances. Now, temperature is going to be going up here over the next several days. Take a look at our temperature trend. By the middle of the week, we are going to be in the mid-90s, possibly reaching the upper 90s by Thursday. Heat index values on top of that are going to be close to 110. So this is our first real heat wave of the summer. So I want to remind you, if you plan to be outside, wear loose-fitting clothing, take frequent breaks, and of course, stay plenty hydrated. But honestly, this is a good excuse to skip out on the yard work for a few days. Tell the spouse, I'm not going to worry about it right now because it is just too darn hot outside. We will get back to that whenever the weather starts to cool down just a little bit. Also want to remind you, a great time to check in on those family members, those neighbors, those elderly people in your life, and just make sure they're doing okay. You never know if the AC might have gone out, anything like that. So just give a friendly phone call or a friendly knock. Make sure people are doing okay in this heat. As I mentioned, we're going to be with heat index values nearing 110 by the end of the week. We've also got some thunderstorms to deal with tomorrow. I've got the full first alert forecast from inside the studio where it's 68 degrees coming up in just a little bit. Cash.
All right, thanks, Trevor. Well, record highs in regards to the coronavirus are being set all across the nation as well. 68,000 more coronavirus cases were reported Friday, setting a new single-day record for the 7th time in 11 days. Now, hospitals in parts of the Sun Belt are being pushed to the limit, and states are scrambling to reimpose restrictions in hopes of slowing the spread. CBS News correspondent Michael George reports from New York.
About 4 months into the U.S. coronavirus pandemic, Florida now has more than 250,000 confirmed cases. Florida's governor says the recent surge has shifted to a new demographic, young people.
Far and away now, they're the number one age cohort, that 25 to 30, 34-year-old.
Despite rising case numbers, 2 Walt Disney World parks in the Orlando area reopened to the public Saturday with masks required and social distancing enforced. But in recent days, many states in the South and the West, including Georgia, Arizona, and California, have been reimposing rules.
I feel like them opening up in the first place was pretty much a tease if we just took the quarantine serious in the first place.
At midnight Friday, bars across large parts of Nevada returned to Phase 1 restrictions.
People have bills to pay. This economy out here, this is what they depend on.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott this week warned of a possible lockdown if the state's surge isn't brought under control. He says residents must follow his statewide mask mandate. In Cleveland, a small group rallied against new orders from the governor to wear masks in several counties. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
New York State reported more numbers showing progress in flattening its curve. Hospitalizations fell below 800, the lowest level since mid-March. Well, the coronavirus has forced the cancellation of many events over the past few months. One of those, the Junior Auxiliary of Columbus's 70th annual charity ball, was canceled not once but twice. But that didn't stop them from taking a chance to give back to the community. Our Savannah Gato joins us in the studio with more on what they're doing. Savannah.
Every year after the charity ball, the King and Queen of the Junior Auxiliary hold a royalty brunch for current and past members to attend. Since it was canceled this year, the King and Queen decided to open the table to the whole community.
Since we'd already bought the food and we didn't want to ask for a refund from the caterer because one of our missions is to support small businesses in the community, so we decided we'd just give the food away, and so that's what we're here doing today.
Dr. David Curtis, the king of the 2020 charity ball, says because of the coronavirus, they've had to cancel many of their events.
Well, we had the celebration ball, which should have occurred 2 months ago, and that was canceled. Then we redid that date for June. It was canceled again, so you can't have a large gathering of people together. So that's the first time in, I don't know, 30 years that the ball has been canceled. And then after the ball is the King's Brunch, where all of the previous royalty gets together and has brunch and gives toasts and this sort of thing. Of course, that was canceled.
With the help of the Lowndes County Recreation Director, Roger Short, they've been able to serve that food to their neighbors today at the soccer complex. And there's a reason they picked this specific spot.
And we chose this spot because we knew there would be farmers market people, and also we fed a lot of the vendors today because farmers are hurting too.
Curtis says they are very thankful that they were able to give back.
These are testing times for us in the community for a lot of reasons, and the whole reason that JA exists is to serve the community. And this was just an opportunity for us to extend that whole thing to show the community that we care about them and that we care about each other.
Even though the Junior Auxiliary hasn't been able to host some of its regular events, they are still developing new projects and plan to continue their clothing and Feed to Succeed projects.
All right, thanks, Savannah. Throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, stores have been dealing with shortages in inventory and supplies, but now they're facing a new shortage: money. You may have seen the signs in shop windows. Several areas are facing a coin shortage. With so many businesses shut down, money has not been circulating as much. On top of that, the U.S. Mint had to limit production due to staffing issues also caused by the virus. And local banker Bart Wise says customer habits are also changing.
Another thing is businesses are starting to reopen, and there's a demand for coin and currency just to restock and get up and going in an operating mode. And then the last thing is the consumer is not really wanting to handle cash and coin, so they've really reverted almost entirely to credit and debit cards.
Well, there could be an opportunity for customers. Some stores and banks are beginning to buy rolled coins. After the break, it's that time of the year again. We tell you more about the Meet the Dancers event in Tupelo this week. Don't go anywhere.
Watching WCBI News at 6 p.m. with Cash Matlock.
Welcome back, everyone. 7 people from across our region are learning a professional ballroom dance routine and raising money for the Boys and Girls Clubs of North Mississippi. Now, the dancers were introduced during the annual Meet the Dancers event at Park Heights in Tupelo. They started working in May, taking lessons with a pro instructor. Each celebrity dancer learns a ballroom dance routine, and they also raise money for the organization. Organizers have faced many challenges this year because of COVID-19, but the needs are still real, and the dancers have already raised nearly $140,000.
This is probably 15 to 20% of our annual budget, and with the COVID crisis, we are doing all of those things in our clubs as far as taking the temperatures, sanitizing, wearing the mask, wearing the gloves. So we're having to buy all of those supplies in addition to what the normal budget would be. So we really, really appreciate what the communities are doing this year.
WCBI's Allie Martin, who is a former dancer, will co-host the event. It takes place at the Bancorp South Arena August 22nd.
You see the sunshine in Tupelo right now. What you cannot see is the heat and humidity. Heat index nearly 100 degrees right now, and I'm afraid it's going to go up from there. I've got your full first alert forecast coming up right after this. Stay with us.
For WCBI First Alert AccuWeather Forecast with meteorologist Trevor Burchett.
Well, the sunshine is out in downtown Columbus and across the entire WCBI viewing area. But as I mentioned, what you cannot see on this camera is the heat and the humidity. It is a scorcher of a July Saturday afternoon out there. Take a live look at these temperatures. We're 91 in Columbus, 95 in Aberdeen, 94 in Tupelo. But of course, if you've lived in Mississippi and Alabama for any amount of time, you know that what really matters is this number, the heat index. Once you factor in the humidity, it is feeling like 97 in Columbus, 101 in Aberdeen, 108 in Houston. Are y'all okay up there? Because that will melt you, I think. So maybe just everybody stay inside for the rest of the day. It is a hot one out there. No help in the way of cloud cover, hardly at all. We had one little batch of clouds through central Mississippi. What we are watching, though, is this batch of showers and storms through southern Kansas. That is going to continue to the south overnight tonight and could, depending on if it holds together, bring us some showers and storms by sunrise tomorrow. So overnight tonight, I think for the most part, we are dry. The clouds will increase, though, especially as we get past midnight. Still going to stay muggy, though. Temperature's going to stay in the 70s all night, bottoming out around 72 by the early morning hours. Anytime after midnight, the chance will be there for some showers. I think better chances by early tomorrow morning, anywhere from about 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. That line of storms might come through. That's not going to help us much, though. We'll still hit 91 tomorrow afternoon, staying hot and humid with more chances for some showers and storms through the afternoon. Here's Futurecast. And as I mentioned, by about 6 a.m., there's that batch of showers and storms just to our west. Now, it does weaken as it comes through our area, but I think by 8 or 9, some folks could still see some shower and storm activity. That continues through about 10 o'clock. By 11, most of us look to be dry. And then as we get into the afternoon hours, the chance will be there once again for a pop-up shower or storm. As I mentioned, though, temperature is still hot, getting up into the low 90s, and there's some more of those pop-up storms popping up by the evening hours. So not everybody going to see rain tomorrow afternoon. I think it is a pretty good bet that all of us will see at least a little bit of rain through the day tomorrow morning. Now, the severe weather risk generally low with this round of storms, but anytime you see that line of storms come through, we have to watch out for a low chance of some gusty winds, maybe a little bit of flash flooding. Very, very low tornado threat. Almost can completely rule it out. Not a concern with this storm. Really what we are looking for is the flash flooding and the gusty winds tomorrow morning. After that, generally our rain chances go down to hardly nothing. 20% to 30% chance over the next 7 days. Anybody has a chance to see a pop-up shower or storm through next weekend, but I think after tomorrow, most of the rest of the week will be dry. Here's that AccuWeather 7-day forecast. Showers and storms tomorrow, 91 for the high. And then take a look at those numbers, up to 96, 97 by the middle of the week. Again, most people not going to get a shower to cool them off. Heat index value is going to climb well over 100 degrees, close to 110 in some spots. And Cash, I'll tell you, as someone who was just outside, it is a scorcher out there, and it's going to get even worse.
Trevor, I regret all of the complaints I made for the past 2 weeks about the rain. I want it to come back. I'm tired of the sun.
I'm sick of the rain. I would much rather take the heat than the rain, but I know some people are kind of divisive on that issue.
No. Today, I'm burnt out after today.
It's 1 day of heat, and you're tired of it.
Yes, burnt out.
You're in the wrong place.
All right, thank you, Trevor. Well, after the break, Courtney Robb joins us for stop number 20 on the high school football tour. You don't want to miss it. Stay with us.
WCBI Sports with Courtney Robb. WCBI Sports 2020 High School Football Tour is brought to you by Itawamba Community College, Cannon Ford of Starkville, Monroe County Farm Bureau, Max South Broadband, and the Bank of Vernon.
The Boonville Blue Devils know how to win. Following an undefeated regular season in 2018, Boonville comes off yet another successful season. In 2019, the Blue Devils finished with an 8-3 overall record and a division championship appearance. Head coach Mike Maddox says the key to that success, continuity.
Our kids know what to expect here, know what we expect out of them. The year before we had an undefeated regular season. Our kids went through a lot of adversity when I was sick, and they overcame a lot. They grew up a lot. And I thought our coaches that year did a real good job of teaching things other than football, and I think it spilled over to the next year.
The 2020 season will be slightly different for the Blue Devils because they'll have to create plays without former running back Davian Price. In his senior season, Price accounted for over 1,200 yards rushing and 22 touchdowns in the ground attack. In terms of how you replace such a successful player, Maddox says,
You can't. You just figure out other ways to be successful, to find ways for other kids to be successful. We could be even better. We could be better than we were last year offensively because, we don't have that one guy that we're counting on. We're going to have 3 or 4 guys. So, that could be a plus for us.
Although losing Price is a massive loss for Boonville, the Blue Devils return 18 seniors, including 5 starters on the offensive line and starting quarterback John Daniel Deaton. However, that's just the tip of the iceberg in terms of experience on this Blue Devil squad.
9 starters on offense, 9 starters on defense, and, these kids have put a lot of time and effort into it, so it's very important that we play this year, some way, somehow.
I want to improve on the long balls. I've kind of struggled with that over the last couple years. Short games, pretty decent, but definitely need to improve on the long balls.
Boonville has made 17 straight appearances to the playoffs, and while that might add pressure to the team, Maddox says it's simply become part of the norm.
Community expects it. It's expected at home. It's expected here. We expect them to give us everything they have, and then the winning will take care of itself.
The Blue Devils will look for another season of success against Mooreville at home on August 21st.
You can go home after a ball game and look in the mirror and say, boy, I left it all out on that field. The winning usually takes care of itself.
Hopefully a good one. We're trying to put it on some people this year.
Reporting in Boonville on the high school football tour, Courtney Robb, WCBI Sports.
WCBI Sports 2020 High School Football Tour with Boonville High School is brought to you by Boonville Community Pharmacy and F&M Bank.
Showers and storms possible tomorrow. Some gusty winds, maybe generally nothing to worry about though. After that, hot, humid, and dry for the next several days. Highs possibly as high as 100 with heat index values well over 100, closer to 110. Overnight lows even pretty warm, close to the mid-70s.
And Trevor, it's actually so hot that you've already went outside in the commercial break and turned your car off.
I did. For the lunch break, I had to cool down my car.
I guess
that remote start really helps.
Hey man, whatever you have to do. All right, thanks Trevor. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you back here at 10 o'clock.